Today we'll be looking at giving presentations, and these are some delivery techniques, just some very basic stuff, but anyway, it's always good to go over these things. And we'll be looking at some structuring ideas, signpost language, an example of script that goes with that signpost language as well. Very handy to have that. And some language for referring to visuals, and the last one, handling questions, and that focus will be looking at blue light. That's our topic for those questions. Alrighty, just jumping into it. So giving a presentation, I've shown, if you came to the workshop last week, I've given you an idea of what a presentation should look like, and this is the basic structure. Now your speech should have at least 3 parts, these 3 parts here. How about I got my little spotlight, 1 second. Where is it? Oh, there we go. There we go, perfect. There's my little spotlight. Yeah, so you got these 3 main parts here. And I said last week, as long as you have your message, your key message, and as you're going through the main points, make sure that that message goes through each of those points as well. Now, that main message is something that you would introduce here, state the key message. That's the same thing. And when you conclude, restate the key message, so that I like to liken a presentation, or if you're giving an opinion or something, like a hamburger. And this is the top bun, and this is the part that has the meat and the salad and and whatnot in there, and this is the bottom bun. So everything is neatly packed, and if you don't have of course the conclusion, everything will fall out. So it's very important to keep all of that in there, to keep it as one finished product. And the reason it's so neatly organized here is so that when you're presenting, the audience can follow the presenter. You need to have a clear structure. So when you do introduce your topics at the beginning, and you get the audience's attention, and you say, hey, I'm going to talk about this, and these 3 key things I'm going to talk about, it gives the audience a structure to keep in their mind, so that as you present your presentation and you deliver it, the audience can then follow those basic things that you mentioned before. And the reason for that is they know when you're going to conclude. Oh, thank goodness that's over. We don't have to listen to that person anymore. But also they can prepare questions for the end. And question time at the end is always important. Some students don't like to allow time at the end for questions, because they're afraid that if they are asked a difficult question, they may not be able to answer it. So today we'll be looking at some techniques to help you answer those questions, or help to give you some time maybe, or even throw the question back at the audience. Thank you very much. I love you too. All right, moving on. Okay. So if you need a copy of this PowerPoint, I'm sure that you'll be able to get it, because it does have some very interesting information in there. Now, this part here, your speech should include signpost language. Now, it's called signpost language because it provides a direction of where you're going. So it's functional language, and it shows, or it demonstrates to the audience, hey, you're going to talk about, I don't know, something on your PowerPoint, a graph, maybe you're going to move to the next point, and then you're going to conclude. All of these different expressions, functional expressions, give some kind of direction, and that's why they're called signpost language. And I'll give you an example of that in coming up. Where are we? There we go. All right, so here is some signpost language. There's lots of this stuff on the internet. And there are so many different expressions that you could use. And this is just an example. So here, the headings introducing the topic. Here are just some different examples of what you could say. And you'll find that when you discover more of this functional language, it helps to organize your sentences when you start saying one of these expressions, this group of words. It helps to organize your sentence and gets everything in order. So, for example, the subject or the topic of my talk is, it makes it easier for you if you can do your best to remember a lot of this functional language. So that, and it's not just for giving a presentation, there's lots of functional language out there for different purposes, giving an opinion, inviting someone to a party, whatever it may be, but there's lots of different expressions for different purposes. And if you can just pull it out when you need it, rather than, would you come to party? And your grammar is all over the place. But if you can pull out one of these functional expressions, it makes your life a lot easier. So yeah, anyway, so this is Signpost Language, very, very handy for giving a presentation. And I'll show you how to use this Signpost Language in just a moment. There we go. Alrighty, so this is an example of a script, and there are 3 slides for this script. This is the first one, of course. This is the purpose: open and address the audience. So we've got, hello everyone, my name is Richard. Thank you for your attention. Okay, introduce the topic. That's the purpose. Today I'll be presenting on whatever. This topic is, and then you state the purpose, blah, blah, blah. And then, okay, state the purpose, key message. There you go. All right. Importantly, I believe you should do your homework, right? And structure your presentation. This is the key focus or the purpose of these expressions here. So my presentation has been divided into usually 3 parts. First, blah, 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 then, and then following this, and then I'll conclude with whatever else. Okay, so it's a good idea to have this language or this signpost language in your presentation script. It just makes it easier to organize everything. So when you're delivering your presentation, the audience knows what you're going to be talking about or what you're going to be doing next. They need to know that you're moving on to the next topic, or they need to know what you're talking about, or that you're going to conclude, or you're talking about a graph or a table, or whatever it might be. Moving on. To gain the audience's attention, did you know something interesting? And then introduce your subtopic, and then explain something, and all of these key points. I mean, you would normally do this in a presentation, all of this stuff. So having the language to support you in doing all of this is extremely important. Okay, so can anyone tell me, have you done this before, or is this something new? Anyone here? How about Pink? Pink 20, are you there? Calling Pink 20, over.
I think the first step is TED, the lecturers in TED always use this kind of signpost language.
Yeah, that's it. Anyone else? What about Pinky? Pinky 20, are you there? No one. No one else. Sherman's in the house. Welcome back. Someone's got the name of Cola. Coca-Cola, maybe. It's a cool name. Alrighty, well, I'll just keep going because we don't seem to have a lot of talkers in here at the moment. Okay, moving on. And the last of this script, just going through it. Focus the audience on the summary. Finally, let me remind you what I've covered today. These are the key points I'm concluding. And thank you very much for your time. Oh, wait, please feel free to ask any questions. Yes. Who's afraid of being asked questions after their presentation? Can I see a show of hands? Anyone? Is anyone afraid? Okay. Wrong. Aurora. Ellen. Jane. Suki. Jerlyn. Anyone? No? Pretty quiet. The speaker. Me? I am. Sherman's, yep. That's right, Sherman. I am actually afraid of those questions because what if I can't answer them? What if I look stupid? It's a high possibility. Absolutely. All right, let's move on. Okay, referring to visuals. This is something that a lot of students have difficulty with, especially, looking at a graph or something like that and being able, I imagine that with your studies, you'll have to, pick out a graph or several tables, or I don't know, if you do some kind of a research report or a survey, and then you'll have to, tell the class or whoever it is, your audience, maybe even the faculty heads or something like that, and then, tell them the results of your survey and go into detail. And it'd be terrible if you were standing there and you didn't know what to say. So at least this signpost language here will get you started. And if you start your sentences right, then even if you're grammatically incorrect or things are a little bit funny sort of towards the end of your sentence, at least you've started correctly. And because it's functional language, sorry, what's that? Because it's functional language, your audience know what you're trying to achieve. They know that you're talking about a graph. They know that you're talking about some figures or something like that. And then if you mess it up at the end by getting the wrong grammar or the wrong numbers or something like that, at least they can join the dots. Because if you're talking to people whose English is pretty good, then, they can work it out of what you're trying to say. As long as you start right, they can just, in their minds, connect it together. All right. Moving on. Okay, body language. Now, whenever you do a presentation, your teacher will be going on about body language. You must use body language. Body language is very important, right? Well, body language is only effective if you feel comfortable in using body language. Some of my students that I taught some time ago, I'll say, I was teaching body language and I said, you need to use your hands and, wave your hands around. So here they are, they're presenting and there's this hand moving like this, and there's no connection between this hand and what they're actually saying. They're just moving it and they don't know why. So If you're using gestures as you talk and you feel uncomfortable about that, then it's not going to be effective for you. Hands as you're talking should be something that is going to improve what you're saying. My advice is that when you are, let's say, presenting, if you have your hands like this, open, then you're inviting everyone to listen to you. Waving your hands around like you're Italian, Mamma mia, you know, just, just keep it close to you and just move your hands around like this. Yes. And just change your hands. Yes. All right. And 1, 2, 3, whatever it is. And change your gestures around a little bit is a good thing because it keeps you animated. And as you know, if you're sitting in the audience and your presenter is just standing there and not moving, and even maybe not even blinking, you'll probably fall asleep within 30 seconds or so. So watching someone who's moving around will keep you awake, keep you thinking, oh, what are they saying? Oh, this is interesting, because they're moving about. And that's one thing you have to keep note of when you're presenting, is to keep moving around. If you can't move, actually walk around the front of the classroom as you're presenting, then move your hands. Make sure you feel comfortable when you're moving your hands so that it looks natural, rather than you're a robot and you don't even know why you're moving your hands. You were told to move your hands because that's part of presentations, and it just looks crazy. So if you want to look confident, use your hands when you're talking. If you want to look confident, eye contact to your audience, looking at your audience. Now, if looking at your audience makes you feel uncomfortable, look beyond them. Look at their forehead, look at their hair, look at their shoulders. Look somewhere where it looks like you're looking at them, but really you're not. If you feel uncomfortable about looking directly at them, because some of your good friends might even be making faces at you, while you're presenting, and you're like, oh, just so because they want you to be distracted and then laugh at you as you are trying to recover when you're presenting. So that's a technique that I use. If I feel nervous about looking at anyone in the audience, I will look at the wall behind them. I'll look at their shoulders. I'll look at what kind of hairstyle they have, or big forehead, or big nose. I don't know, something, at least something that makes me smile, but not nervous. Now, one secret that I have is when I'm presenting in front of a group, and especially if they're, I don't know, bosses, or, if it's a very serious presentation that I have to give, sometimes my leg starts to shake or my hand starts to shake. So I don't want to show them that my leg is shaking or my hand is shaking. So I tend to move my hand around, or I walk around so that they can't see my leg shaking. So that's a technique that I use to make sure that my audience doesn't know that I'm scared out of my brain when I'm presenting. So body movement is extremely important. Now, posture is very important. It's how you stand. Don't lean on the table with your hand on the table in front of you. Don't put your elbow on the lectern as you're talking, as if you're in your lounge room and you're talking to your friend and having a beer at the same time. Stand up, show them that you're confident. You don't need to slouch. Have your hands free. If you are looking at your phone and reading your script, eye contact is there and not there. Now, the one thing about reading your script, it tells the audience that you're not prepared. It tells them that you're not confident with your material and you need to read your mobile phone, or you've put so much content on your PowerPoint that you're reading it, and therefore your voice is over here and not directing towards the audience. And that, the audience is confused. They can't hear you clearly. And therefore you're not looking at them. You're not involving them in your presentation. And when you do that, they lose interest. They fall asleep. They look at their phone. They do something else. But they show you that they're not interested because you didn't involve them from the beginning and continue to involve them as well. Okay, it's also important to express your emotions because you have to express a certain level of passion when you're presenting your topic. It shows that you have a connection with your topic, a belief, an opinion, because when you present, there's a message that you want to send. Are you teaching your audience something? Are you trying to change their mind about something? And with that, there's a belief, there's a passion, and therefore it changes the way you say something. You use your intonation. As you can see, when I'm talking and I'm talking to you now, and my intonation is changing up and down. Hello, good to see you. My voice is varying. I mean, it would be quite boring if I just had a flat tone. Good evening, everyone. Today I'll be presenting about body language, and I've got 30 minutes of talking like this, and I'm pretty sure that if I continue to speak like this, you will be bored out of your brains in 10 seconds, right? So I imagine that would not be a good thing. Alrighty, let's move on. Now, rapport building. Last week in the workshop, I mentioned rapport. It is not report. It's rapport. And rapport is, I've got the meaning there. It says it's a connection or a relationship that you have with someone. It's considered a state of harmonious understanding. So a mutual respect that you have developed with you and the audience. And you can only develop this connection if you're looking at them and if you're using your hand gestures to involve them. Now, there's a difference between talking to your audience than talking at your audience. If you're talking at your audience, you don't care about their response. You don't care if they like what you're saying, if they're interested, if they understand. Who cares? You're just giving them information and it's a one-way road there. But if you're talking to your audience, it's like having a conversation with other people. They may not be able to respond verbally, but they're responding non-verbally. They're showing you in their body language that they're interested, that they understand, and you're responding by changing your voice and changing the way that you say something to make them more interested or connected with what you're saying. So to continue to, first of all, to build this rapport and to keep it going, you can use all of these different techniques here. Use humor. Hey, did I tell you? And then you can go into something funny. Make sure that you try to understand your audience, to even ask them, does everyone understand what I'm saying? Can I change how I say it to help you? Something like that. Speak openly. So open face. Hey, use your hand gestures. I'm talking to you. Give the audience time to think. If you ask them a question, give them time to think and even respond, rather than quickly flying through to the next topic because you don't want a question or you're nervous or something. And as I mentioned before, intonation is a key thing, but also emphasis as well. When you make a strong point. You focus on a key message or a key word or something like that to make a strong point. Use personal stories to make a connection with your audience. Maybe they've got a similar story. Who knows? And this helps to maintain the audience's interest. And this one here, dress appropriately. I think that's a key thing. So if you want your audience to respect you, then you have to dress appropriately as well, not coming in with your shirt hanging out, or 2-day growth or whatever it might be that makes you look a bit rough. So if you want to get that respect, make sure that you're dressing appropriately. Alrighty, moving on. Okay, building rapport. What do we have? Can someone read these out for me? Do we have any volunteers here? Aurora, first on my list. Are you there? Aurora. No? How about Cola? Cola, are you there? Cola?
I volunteer.
Alrighty, who's that?
Kathy.
Okay, Kathy, thank you very much. Alrighty. Okay, I'll flick through these and you can just read them out as I go. Number 1.
Try getting to know as much as possible about your audience.
Alrighty, now please let me know if there's any grammar mistakes as well. Thank you. Here we go.
Try. Just do need to read it?
Just read it, yep.
Okay. Oh, I regret. Okay. Knowledge of your audience gives you the chance to use humor.
Right, now you can choose someone else on the list and they have to read, okay?
Okay.
Alrighty, so let's pick someone else. It's your choice.
I'll choose Joyce.
Aha, Joyce, bad luck.
Okay.
The next one, here we go.
Learn about the audience and use examples from their life stories.
Perfect. Now, most people would mingle with the audience before they present and learn something about them in order to do this. Okay, Joyce, could you choose someone from the list to read the next one?
I think maybe Kay. Hello, Kay.
All right, here we go. Kay.
Okay, your appearance can communicate a positive attitude and energy.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. Kay, please choose someone from the list.
Oh, let me see.
Everyone, if your name is called, you must speak. All right, Kay, go ahead. Someone from the list.
Maybe Ron.
Okay, wrong.
Ron, are you here?
Wrong's eating noodles.
Yeah, I'm the volunteer.
Okay.
Okay.
Here we go.
Try to grab the attention and enlarge your audience.
Engage. That's it.
Yeah, engage.
All right, good job. Thank you. Now, can you choose someone else on this fantastic list that we have? How about Guang? Is it Guang Zhang? Is that the right pronunciation?
Yes, I'm here.
All righty, here we go.
Post the number 6. Okay, that is number 6 is use humor to build up your key arguments to shocking or unexpectedly positive conclusions.
There you go. Alrighty. And oh, since I've got you there, could you read out the next one?
Is that me? Is that me
Yeah,
again?
yeah, why not?
Okay. Okay, number 7 is make a point plus tell a story, or tell a story plus make a point.
There you go. There's a strategy. Make a point and then tell a story, or the other way around. All right. And let's choose, Alan, are you there? No? All right, we're going to flick through it. Match your voice to your content. And number 9, if you say something funny, let everyone laugh and enjoy the moment. So give the audience time to, process that. And I think that's it. Number 9, oh no, 10. Craft a clear, concise summary of your key message. All right, these are all the things that you need to do in order to build rapport. Okay, moving on. Question time. All righty. Handling difficult questions. Who's ready? Is everyone ready for some difficult questions? Here we go. Okay, so as the presenter, you are in charge and need to set the rules about questions being asked, which means, let's just click that. You can invite the audience to ask questions during your presentation or at the end. So when you start presenting from the beginning, you need to say, oh, okay, everyone, today I'll be talking about blah, 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 and these are the 3 main, 4, whatever it might be, key things I'm talking about. And just before I start, please know that I'm happy to answer any questions, but please leave your questions until the end of the presentation, or you can say, I'm happy to answer any questions. So as I'm presenting, you can ask questions and I'll answer those as we get through the presentation. So it's up to you because you're the presenter. So you set the rules, but you have to tell the audience what you expect, whether those questions can come during the presentation or at the end. Usually if you're giving a training workshop or presentation, if you want to call it that, and you're teaching someone something, then you would let questions come during the presentation so that they can get a better understanding at the time, rather than leave it to the end, because then it won't have much meaning. If they have a question about something that you started talking about, what's the point in asking a question at the end of the training session, because lots of other stuff has taken place. So it really is up to you. Now, inviting the audience to ask questions demonstrates the confidence you have in your topic and your ability to respond. So if you don't allow the audience to ask questions, it really reflects badly on you as a presenter. It shows your teachers or whoever is assessing you. I imagine that you would have to do presentations as part of your assessments. And if you don't allow for questions, then it just shows that you don't have that confidence with your topic, or that you're not washed with your topic in order to answer some questions. Okay, well. Okay, so handling questions. I'll just read this out if you can focus on the visual that I have here. Once you receive a question, you will have a few moments to think about it and reframe it in a way that makes sense to you. So here's 5 choices. You can answer, reflect, deflect, defer, or scope. So change the scope of the question, I should say. And we're going to go through these in just a moment. And once you've answered concisely, you can then follow up to check if the person asking the question is satisfied, and then continue with your presentation. Of course, if you're taking questions during your presentation or at the end, you can then just move on to the next question as well. So this is a strategy that you can take. You receive the question, you listen, you understand, you choose which one that best suits you, because sometimes you don't know the answer. And then you give a concise answer if you can. Check if the person is satisfied with your response and then move on. Okay, so what response techniques below match these pictures? We've got A, B, and C. A, he's dodging the bullets. B, she's thinking about it. And C, he's going to be hit in the back of the head maybe, or the back with a ball. All right, so let's have a go. In A, he's dodging the bullets. What is it? Answer, reflect, deflect, defer, or scope. Does anyone have an answer for A? What do you think? Is it this one, this one, this one, or that one, or that one? Hang on. Deflect. I think you might be right. I think Joyce is going to be driving away in that Ferrari tonight. What about B? Might have the answers right there. Hang on. There we go. Deflect. All right. What about B? Thinking about it. Patrick comes in with the goods. Thank you. All right. And C, getting hit in the back of the head by a ball, not knowing it's coming. C, what is that? Now, the person throwing the ball is the presenter, of course. Does anyone have an answer? An accident, yes. Accident waiting to happen. All right, I'll give you the answer. It is deflect, because the person who's received the question, the presenter, they're just giving it away to someone else. A's flicking it off to someone else. And in C, obviously the presenter's just passing the ball to someone else as well. All right. Thank you, Alan. Sorry, not scope, but yes, thank you for contributing. We're going to get you to talk next. Okay, here we go. So we've got some great information here. If everyone can take some notes, I'm going to read the information on this slide, and then we'll go through and answer some questions using these techniques. This information is important because at the end of this, in just a few moments, I'll be asking questions, and I'm hoping that either you can answer it with a simple, short, concise answer, or you can use one of the techniques that we look at in just a moment if you can't answer the question. So please take notes as I read out this great information to you. Now, we were just talking about blue light and the dangers of it before we started. So this will be very interesting. So what is blue light? Blue light is a color in the visible light spectrum that can be seen by human eyes. Blue light is a short wavelength, which means it produces higher amounts of energy. How does blue light impact you? Studies show that exposure to blue light can cause eye strain, fatigue, headaches, and sleeplessness. Where is blue light? Well, blue light is everywhere in the world. It used to be that the only source of blue light was from the sun. Now we have brought blue light inside by way of digital screens found on TVs, smartphones, computers, laptops, tablets and gaming systems, electronic devices, LED and fluorescent lighting. There you go. So Take some notes, everyone. You're going to need those notes for the questions coming up. Is everyone ready to go? All right, well, I'm going to continue on, hoping that everyone has taken notes. Let's have a look. All right. Technique number 1, answer the question. Very easy. So if you can answer the question, try to do so with a short and clear message. So number 1 here, what is the main concern about blue light? Who can answer this question? All right, blue light can be harmful to our health. Short, it's clear, just like this little guy here, short, sweet, and to the point. All right, let's move on. Okay, reflect. Ask a question back to gain more understanding and thinking time. How do we get more thinking time? How can we limit blue light exposure? It's a difficult question. Now, if someone asks you that question, they're expecting you to respond very quickly. Yeah, that's true, Patrick. Thank you. So Patrick can answer with a short and simple and clear response. What about everyone else? Now you could do this. Hang on, let's just click. There we go. Now you could ask the person to clarify what they're talking about. Could you give some more details? Could you explain what you're talking about? Could you clarify what you mean by that? Anything to get them to rephrase the question so that you have more time to think. Now, of course, these techniques are not just for presentations, but for conversations as well, called conversation management techniques. Alrighty, let's move on. Okay, deflecting, there we go. So the question down here in blue, what are the harmful effects of blue light? Ooh, can anyone answer the question? What are the harmful effects of blue light? Now, if you're deflecting, you can ask the same question back to the audience. Everyone, what are the harmful effects? So you get the audience to answer for you. That's a good technique. I like that one. Or number 2, you can pass it to another group member to answer. Oh, I think John can provide the best answer. In Australia, we call that handballing, because in football, which is one of the key sports here, when they pass the ball with nudging it with their hand like this, that's called a handball, passing it on to someone else. So if you're giving a group presentation, this is definitely the way to go. Give it to someone else to answer. And then smile. Okay, so defer. Tell the audience member you will talk to them after the event. This gives you more time to think of a good answer and less pressure to give a perfect answer. So what are the symptoms of blue light damage? Whew. Goodness me, that's a tricky question. So you could say, I will consult with an expert and get back to you as soon as possible. Perfect. Perfect. That is such a good response. So if you don't have the answer, you can just say, oh, let me check with an an expert. Let me find an engineer. Let me find someone in the field and I'll get back to you. Okay, and just to prove that you have credibility, you can at that moment write down their name and their question just to show, you know, on a piece of paper, so you don't lose credibility, or something like that. Anyway, you need to confirm that you are actually going to do exactly what you say. All right, moving on. Scope. This involves answering the question, but changing the subject. So what are the harmful effects of blue light? I'll give you an example here. Blue light is high in energy. Not really answering the question, is it? Avoid answering questions that go beyond the talk, such as, for example, what are the medical symptoms of damage caused by blue light? Well, that's something that isn't really covered here. So I'm afraid that goes beyond the scope of today's presentation. So don't be afraid to tell the audience, hey, sorry, I haven't covered that today, and it's beyond the focus of today. And it's something that you can say, because the audience will be confused about the main message that you want to give. And if you go beyond the focus of the presentation that you're giving, then the audience will forget about that key message and focus on the other topic that has come from your presentation and the question that's been asked. Okay, so here are some different techniques that you can use to answer these difficult questions. Number one, you could just answer the question simply and clearly. But if you can't answer the question, obviously these other techniques are extremely helpful as well. So who's ready to use some techniques? Here we go. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I've got some questions that I'm going to look at on the side. Here we go. All right. There we go. I'm looking at my questions and I've got everyone's name that I can see. So Patrick, are you ready? Okay, anyway, I'm going to ask the question and hopefully someone will answer. Patrick, you can answer, you can type it in. Here we go. So what is blue light? What is blue light? If you can answer that in a clear, concise way, then do so in the chat box. If you can't answer it, use one of the techniques that I just showed you. Perfect. Thank you, Patrick. You are driving home in the red Ferrari today. Thank you. Alrighty. Anyone else? You can use any of those techniques that I showed you. So you don't have to answer the question. You can just, got it.
Blue light is high in energy.
Yes, that is right.
High energy.
How about this one? I think Patrick is the best person to answer that. I love that. I love that one. You can just sort of, yeah. All right, I've got another question for you. Anyone? What are the concerns about blue light exposure? What are the concerns about blue light exposure?
I think Patrick knows the answer.
I think so too. So Eye strain, fatigue, and something else. Headaches. Yeah, gives you headaches. And also it diminishes your eyesight, because I'm living proof of that as well. And so was it Joyce? You watch TV and you have to wear glasses now? Or is that
Oh,
Kathy?
that was me.
Ah,
Yeah, me,
okay.
Kathy.
Well, living proof. Blue light diminishes your eyesight. Okay, the last question before we finish up tonight. What are the symptoms of blue light damage? I think Patrick's got the answer to this one. It's the same as the one before. All right.
No,
Yeah.
I will consult Patrick and then get back to you.
Good response. Very good. So as you can see, these techniques are extremely useful. Yeah. In fact, I think there are quite a few more. If you do some research on the internet, you'll find quite a few different techniques. These are the best ones that I found. But there is, last time I looked, there's a list of 10 best techniques or something for answering questions for a presentation. So anyway, it's up to you. All right, that's it for tonight. Thank you very much, everyone, for participating as much as you could.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard. It was very interesting lecture.
You're
Love
welcome
the
to
question
share.
part. Yeah.
You're welcome to
so-
share that
so
PowerPoint, because it has the presentation script with the Signpost language. I think a lot of students will get a lot of use out of that script. It'll be good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Everyone has any questions? Or any questions?
They're not game,
Right.
because I might deflect some of those questions.
All right.